you're going to want to pay extremely close attention. The rules are changing, and if you don't know this information, you're more likely to be on the losing side than the winning side. I'm really excited about this. Dean Graziosi, Mike Filsain, Katrina Ruth, Ryan Dice, the one and only Russell Brunson, Sonia Riccati. We have Molly here, Todd Brown, Roland Fraser, Mike Dillard, Jeff Walker, Neil Patel, Dennis Hughes. I think that there's a high risk of mass extinction of internet businesses.
Millions of businesses, big and small, closed, pushing us into the worst global recession in history.
The writing is on the wall because things are changing, things are happening.
Change in the industry that's forcing people to evolve and adapt or basically die.
You need to see this to understand it.
Something like that will happen. You can write it in blood.
If there was a tactic or strategy that you were most excited about, what would it be?
We can go as deep as you want.
I call this content sprouting.
These strategies work for any social media platform.
If you believe it's a good idea, you should stick with that.
When your business becomes part of someone's identity, that's when they stick. This is really crazy. I don't know if I ever shared this with you. Waste the least amount of money to find that winner. That's how you win for $1 a day.
Now, I have people that are on my list for 2 years that are still opening the emails.
To get this many amazing people in a room, just amazing.
We're about to take you behind the scenes.
I love what you're doing here. This is amazing.
If you want to know what's happening in the future, tune in now.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know whether you can or not. It's Rich Sheffrin here, and today is Tuesday, and today is a live stream day. And so we're going to be talking about mentors. And as I think many of you know, I've been fortunate enough to have both Jay Abraham, well, actually more than that, but I've had Jay Abraham and Mark Ford, who's also known as Michael Masterson, as my two primary mentors. Clayton Makepeace was a mentor of mine till he passed away. Prior to that, John Carlton was a mentor of mine earlier on. And I've had many mentors, and I've been very fortunate with that. And so my good friend Vincenzo told me that we should be talking about mentors this week. So as always, I do these live streams on Tuesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. and Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. And today's just been a shitty day. I got to be honest with you. Today has been a shitty day. I've been looking forward to this live stream all day, just so it could be a little bit of a reprieve from the garbage, right, that I've had to deal with today. And nothing too terrible or anything like that. Just annoyances, I guess, would be the way to say it. So we're going to talk about mentors. I'm also still testing out StreamYard. So this is live on Facebook and also YouTube. We're going to be talking about mentors today and on Thursday. On Thursday, we'll record the 10-minute or 20-minute, depending on what Vincenzo tells me, for the YouTube video. And so far, so good with the previous one. I'm not sure about the rankings. Vincenzo, maybe you want to tell me what the rankings are, but I don't know where we stand with the one on how to start an online business. And what I do know, though, is that it's gotten us more traffic than any single video ever has in as short a period of time. And it has really jacked up the number of people who have subscribed. For the first time, I think, ever, we broke 250 people who have subscribed in the last 30 days. Obviously, on YouTube, I've had over 200 people a minute opt in at times when my reports have gone viral. This is certainly not that, though, and that was a long time ago. So I'm I am doing this on StreamYard, like I said, and so we're broadcasting to numerous places. It's kind of interesting because I see the total, and while I see the total, you probably don't. So I see that there are currently 34 people watching on my fan page. There are 5 people watching in my group. There are 5 people watching on my personal page, and 2 people watching on YouTube. Only 2 today. Kind of interesting because last time I had, I think, the majority of people on YouTube, which was very surprising. So let's see. Let's say hello to everyone and kind of check in with everyone. Hey, Vincenzo, good to see you here, my friend. And yeah, by all means, let us know how we're doing on the ranking for how to start an online business. I don't think it went as well. It might be a more challenging keyword to get highly ranked on. Curious what the results are on that. But hey, Vincenzo, and hello, Brian, from much warmer this week, Houston. Yeah, I bet. Is it back to normal now in Houston, or is it just getting warmer? Kayvon is in Vancouver, which I'm sure is rather still chilly. Thank you for sharing. And as always, guys, let's make this as much of a dialogue, less of a monologue, especially this one, because to be completely transparent, I've really never attempted to get a mentor, so to speak. I didn't purposely go after Jay Abraham or Mark Ford. It just kind of worked out that way. But I've always had the luck, if it's that, of attracting really some of the top people in the markets that I've played in, whether that's in music, whether that's in retail, whether that's in copywriting, direct response, online marketing. I've always been fortunate to kind of attract the right people to help me. And so really, I'm hoping that you guys can ask me some really good questions about this as it relates to you and your situation, because to be honest with you, I'm not sure exactly what I do, but I think if you ask me questions about your situation or who you'd like to have as a mentor, it'll help me help you with what I've done over the years to have been so fortunate to have so many people help me in my journey to entrepreneurial success. So by all means, please say hello. Please emote, comment. The Facebook and YouTube gods want to see comments and thumbs ups and subscribes and emoticons and shares. Most importantly, shares both on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you share it, do pound shared or # shared so that I can personally thank you, because I really appreciate it, because we do this to help as many entrepreneurs as we can, as well as to expand our reach. And that only happens when there is cross communication. That only happens when you share it. That only happens when you subscribe. So thanks. And thank you, Kayvon. And Darren, good to see you in Munich, and Jason in Tampa. And thank you for letting me know that the audio is good, and great ad. Thank you. Here and see great. John from Pennsylvania. I am good, John. How are you? Great mentors. Have Mark's book, and Jay also Jeff Carlton stuff. John Carlton, Brian. But yes, great guys. What are the levels of mentorship? How one-on-one do you need to be to make a mentor? Do you mean a mentee successful, Jason? Because you don't make a mentor successful. You can make a mentor relationship successful, but really your mentor is helping you succeed. So I'm not sure where you're going with that. Isabella in Germany. How are you doing, Isabella? I see you're getting out there more and more, and that makes me very happy to see that you are engaging with the world and doing more video, and that makes me happy. Hello, Hugo. Hugo, we're on for lunch, right? Are we on for lunch? Is that tomorrow? Let me know, Hugo. I think it's tomorrow or the next day, right? Do you like StreamYard better than Ecamm? I don't know. I mean, I certainly like some of the things that you can only do in Ecamm right now as far as controllers. But I would say that I do like the ability to not have the ability, one, to stream in multiple places. I am in the process of reapplying to live stream in LinkedIn, and then also to probably do it in Twitch, just really for shits and giggles, because I don't imagine my audience is very much on Twitch, but you never know. And I also like that when I'm streaming to Facebook, I can stream to all three places, and my page, my personal page, and also my Facebook group, plus also share it into the Groove Facebook group, and not have to jump around as much as I used to when I was doing it with Ecamm. And I think Ecamm is just doing that more so to kind of protect their partner Restream, which seems kind of silly, but it might be the reason I leave Ecamm and don't renew. Watching from the group, very cool, Brian. Appreciate you. Right now, there are 7 people on YouTube, 7 people on my personal page, 36 on my fan page, and 7 people in the group. Cool. What's cracking, Rich? Nothing much, Matthew. So, Matthew, I think that's you, right? Matt, I met Matt on a boat on Saturday in Miami. Went out with Mike Felsame and his wife, Glenn Ledwell, and his wife. And who else joined us? KJ joined us and a few others. And we went out on a boat in Miami on Saturday and had a really good time. Matthew, really nice to meet you. Thank God I texted you back this morning. That would have been awkward. I checked out the stats on vidIQ, and the engagement was rated outstanding. Read the YouTube video on online business. Yeah, generally I get outstanding for my engagement. That doesn't always correlate with my ranking. Freg Ninja, hey to you too. Ned, howdy. Back in Cyprus, Michael Lassen. Good for you, my friend. And Gerardo from Mexico. Nice to meet you, Gerardo. And Glenn in Highland Park, where it is warmer than most places, but not here since it's only about 10 miles away. Greetings from Colombia. Nice to see you, Barry. Louis from Mexico, good to see you. Houston is getting back to normal, unless you have broken pipes, that is. Yeah, I would imagine lots of people have broken pipes. Brian. Hey, Len from Toronto. What do you see as the ideal ratio of a mentor giving answers versus extracting the right answers from the mentee? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't know that there is an ideal ratio. I think that in general, when I'm mentoring someone, I am consistently trying to get them to think. I don't want to just give them answers, but I will lead them to the right answer through questions. So I would say that while there isn't an ideal ratio like 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 or 7-to-1 or 1-to-1. What I would say is that whenever I'm mentoring someone, I'm trying to lead them to the answer. If they can't get there, I certainly will assist and help them get that answer. But my goal is to lead them thinking better, not knowing more, right? That's the distinction there, I guess I would say. Do folks really need a mentor, like offered by various organizations, low-cost substitutes like books to read? Do you need a mentor? I wouldn't say that you need a mentor, because the implication of that would be that if you didn't have one, then you would be at some kind of disadvantage, right? But what I would say is that having a mentor certainly accelerates the process for sure. And not only accelerates the process, but also the entrepreneurial journey in and of itself can be a lonely journey. And I'd say that one of the issues for me, even this morning, why today was a crappy day, was just dealing with shit that I had to deal with that only I could deal with, and only I could. There was no one to hand off to, and no one to complain to, and no one to what would be the word? Empathize with, I guess, would be lack of not really the right phrase. But when we get into it, Ned, what I would share is that that mentors can really shortcut the process, but that just like every human being is unique, therefore every relationship with every mentor is going to be unique. And I certainly have different relationships with the different mentors I've had during my life, and go to certain mentors for certain issues and go to other mentors for other issues. So it's really about understanding the dynamics of the relationship, understanding where you want to get to, and enlisting support. But I would say that I was reading John Lee Dumas's book, as I said I would, finished my highlighting. So now I just have to go through the progressive summarization for all of you who bought his book and sent the receipt in. Matt has told me that a bunch of you are waiting for my notes. And so I was finishing up the book last night, and there is a chapter on mentors, and John has very specific advice, quite helpful, actually, that I'd love to share with you guys, and plan on doing so either today or Thursday. Just kind of depends on how today rolls out. Francis, hello to you. And Jane, good to see you. And thank you so much, Jane, for sharing. I appreciate you and appreciate the share. And Lisa in Miami Beach, that's where we were boating around on Saturday. Good to see you, Lisa. And Deborah Baker. Hi, Rich. Jim Fortin. Highly recommended we follow you. Loved your manifesto. Well, thank you, Deborah. And if you speak to Jim, tell him I say hi. I'd love to catch up with him. It's been a while. Close friend of mine, someone I've worked with all the way back when I was a New Yorker. Shared to my group in Clubhouse as well. Well, John, you rock. What can I tell you? Thank you. Isabella shared. Thank you. My first experience in marketing mentorship was the Abraham Internet Strategy 6-month program from way back when. I remember that. And that was a lot of fun. I wrote the sales letter to that. And I think that was the very last full sales letter I wrote. It did quite well. I bought the book and sent JLD my receipt. Awesome, Dr. Vogelman. If you want my notes, you got to send, I guess, Strategic Profits your receipt. I call it a release. I want and sometimes push clients to release what's really going on, and definitely get them to think better is clutch. What do you mean by release? I call it release. Are you talking about like my venting? Or are you referring to something else, Stevie? Where do we send our receipt of the JLD book? I have no idea. Maybe customer support. And all right. Let's see. So the John Lee Dumas advice was kind of interesting. John Lee Dumas in his book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success, he talks about getting clear about where you want to be in a year from today, and then figuring out who's already there. Then once you figured out who is already where you want to be in a year from now, finding them online, commenting on their social media, that if you comment consistently on their social media when you reach out to them, they will know you. That is true. And then then approach them for that mentoring relationship. What I would say is that I have done both paid and, like I didn't pay Jay Abraham and I didn't pay Mark Ford to be my mentor, but I did pay Stephen Pierce when I first started. And that therefore I've kind of had both experiences, both paid and unpaid. And both have been really helpful. I'm going to grab a coffee really quick as we're talking, and I apologize for that, but I just noticed that I don't have any. I'm just going to grab some from back there, and I will be right back. It will be less than a minute. All right. Hey, Renan. Good to see you on YouTube. Pretty cool. Yeah, we got now 5 people on YouTube, 6 people on my personal page, 36 people on my fan page, and 7 people in my Facebook group. Yes, my venting. The website, the address is on his website. Got it. Received my JLD journals today. Now I feel bad, Mark, that I didn't already send in my receipt. Because I want to get those. Who are you talking to, Len? Are you talking to me? Send me a request. Oh, for coffee? How many people thought he was going to brew coffee? Now, this is... I wish I got paid as a... I wish I got paid for this because I got to tell you that I couldn't give this a better recommendation even if I was getting paid for this. This is by far my favorite cold brew coffee. Better than Starbucks cold brew coffee, better than anyone's cold brew coffee. It has no bitter aftertaste. It really is bold and smooth. I drink way too much of it now. All right, so Hugo's got a question. What do you think that attracts mentors that want to help you without wanting to get paid? Is it the environment that you meet, the workplace, the circumstances, or all mentors expect to get paid in one way or another, or those type of stories mostly to young people when they're starting their careers? Anyway, very interested in knowing how to find the right mentor and or coach. Okay, well, obviously a coach is I would say it's a more formal relationship, and therefore one shouldn't expect another person to coach them for free, I would say. But being a mentor, I see as being a little different, right? I see being a mentor as a little less formal, as someone who's been there, done that, and can give you advice when necessary, but also kind of help you get to the destination with advice, but also with their network. And I would say that I think every relationship to a certain extent has a quid pro quo. Like whether in other words, everyone gets something out of the relationship. What I would say is that first and foremost, you want to be pleasant to be around, right? Like if you want someone who is more successful than you, who could tap into their network and advance your success a lot faster, they're not going to do that for someone they don't like, right? That's obvious. But many people are less likable than they could be. I'll give you an example. And this doesn't really relate necessarily to just mentor-mentee relationship. I think this relates to lots of relationships. I know certain people, I don't want to even say names of who they are, but they are extremely high maintenance. Everything is a challenge. And if we go out for a meal somewhere, they're going to give the waiter 100 different directions. There's going to always be a difficulty with their food, and it's just unpleasant, right? Compare and contrast that with the many trips I've taken to Nicaragua with Mark Ford. In fact, right now, Mark Ford is in Nicaragua, and he was telling me that he was going last week, and I just in passing, I said, if you'd like to have a no maintenance guest with you, by all means, let me know. He didn't end up going down with his wife, but when I said that, he laughed and he said, "You mean a guest that I don't have to worry about having a guest?" And I said, "Exactly." And that's because when I've gone down to Nicaragua, countless times. Sometimes I've gone down with Agora because we have a development down there, but many times I've just gone down with Mark because he has a house in that development, being a co-owner of Agora. And so when I've gone down with Mark to Nicaragua, I'm happy to go with him, right? Like, he's a mentor of mine. I've learned a lot from Mark. I enjoy just being around him. Therefore, I want him to enjoy being around me. And the easiest way to do that is to be available when he wants someone available, and to be not available, not pressuring, not even around when he doesn't want someone around. And so I'm only hungry if he's hungry. I only want to grab lunch if he wants to, or grab dinner if he wants to. And if not, I'm totally cool just reading my books, writing in my journal, and doing what it is I do. That makes it really easy for him to want me to come because I'm a companion who requires no maintenance, right? And I think that while that's a micro point, I think you can expand upon that to much larger levels. That the mentee, right, should be there to absorb, but then also to make that mentor's life better in some way, shape, or form. And that might just be a companion. That might be an intellectual companion. That might be someone to share their ideas with and to root for and to enjoy the success of, etc. But I would say that first and foremost is to recognize that in every relationship, there's something called withdrawals, there's something called deposits. And you certainly want to make as many deposits as you can. You certainly don't want to make withdrawals. Now, along those lines, I think that one of the things that has helped me do as well with mentors that I have done as well as with is that I, one, pay very careful attention when they're talking to me. Two, I really think through the advice they give me. And three, either take action on what they're advising me about, or will come back and ask questions that makes very clear that I've also really considered their advice. So that's like very present to me. But what I would also say as a mentor who has had lots of mentees as well, or people I've coached or whatnot, is that certainly someone who does something with the advice given is much more prone to get more advice. So, you know, at some point, my most successful clients become friends. They become friends because it's almost unavoidable. Because as I'm rooting for their success, as I'm giving them my best advice and watching them absorb it, act on it, and kick ass with it, there's a part of me that is more and more invested in their success. I want to see them be more successful. And so I certainly think that there's some element of that with me and my mentors, that I've acted on many of the things they've told me. I've come back to get their approval, kind of like a kid comes back with a drawing and tells us and gives his parents the drawing to put on the refrigerator, and I think that kind of cyclical, like advice given, advice acted on, evidence of the advice acted on, brought back to the mentor, certainly does have a dynamic of getting the mentor to lean in more and more over time. On Wall Street and in the banking world, they call it, like, they don't really call it their mentor as much as they call, like, someone on their side above that's kind of paved the way, a rabbi. It's just what they're called. And Kim has certainly had a few rabbis that have been very instrumental in her career as well. So I think that it is it's something that is pervasive. I would say that one thing that I have always done, and I'm just thinking about this as I'm looking at the question, and I'm thinking about as I'm thinking about this, is that I have always made it a point to try and be in their orbit, meet them whenever the opportunity presented itself. And so I'll tell you what I mean. Like and I want to tell the Jay Abraham story again, but I'll wait until we kind of get through some of the questions. But when Jay Abraham had when I did a consult with Jay, it could be done on the phone or it could be done in person. Obviously, it's a lot easier to do a phone call when I'm in New York and he's in California than to do it in person. But I went in person instead of doing it on the phone. And I did that so I could meet Jay and spend some time with him. And we actually met for breakfast before the consult and got to know each other a little bit better. I bought 2 basketballs signed, one by Shaquille O'Neal and whoever the other, I guess LeBron James or another big basketball player for the Lakers, and gave for his sons. And so that was the very first time I met Jay Abraham. And I met Mark Ford through Early to Rise when I was doing work with Agora in the beginning, like through Jay Abraham. And but then, I don't know, a month or two later, the people from ETR were going out to a bar. They said Mark was coming. I went. I got a chance to meet him there. He didn't really remember me the next time, but I was eager to be in their orbits, to be around them. Not necessarily even talk to them if that was not, in those particular cases, I did speak to both of them. But the idea is that this was someone I know I could learn from. And if I had the opportunity, I wanted to talk to, but I wasn't really aggressive about that opportunity, if that makes sense. And let me know, Hugo, if I or didn't answer your questions. If I didn't, just ask me a different question. Len wants Mark. Okay. Interesting topic. I've been lucky to meet and be mentored by a few people right now. Alan Bernard and I are working together, and he blows my mind every time I listen to him by his incredible knowledge. Yeah. Alan is a extremely bright guy, but no, well, there's no but. Alan is an extremely bright guy. What I would say, though, is that working with a mentor is probably one of the easiest ways to get into their orbit, to help them with something, etc. But very nice to meet you, Teo. And say hello to Alan for me. Yes, sponsored by Stock. Cold brew coffee with no bitter aftertaste. No, there's nothing added. No sweetener, no nothing, Davey. Would it be appropriate to provide mentorship in the form of group coaching as you did as part of a package or charge for it? Well, that would just be group coaching, Mark. And certainly it'd be appropriate. I mean, unless what I did was inappropriate, which I certainly don't think so. So yeah, for sure. Those I mentor, I recognize they have something to offer others to serve. Cool. I hope my mentors see the same and I can give back something to them as well. What made Mark Ford want to invest in your success? I will share that in a few. Let's first get through these great analogies. The line between business and personal most often seems to dissolve with action. Hey, Rich. Hey, Alan. Good to see you. Very good to see you. I owe you a text. Alan, I sent you that business card because apparently I must have gotten it from you when I was in Vegas back in 2008 or so at the Theory of Constraints conference. Anyway, so let me tell you the story of let me tell you my story with Jay first. So Jay was running a special. This was when I had my hypnosis centers, and my hypnosis centers, I had learned a lot from Jay. I'd read like Your Marketing Genius at Work. I had read a bunch of his stuff. I had benefited greatly from his stuff. And after 9/11, my hypnosis centers were in a challenging situation, to say the very least. At some point thereafter, Jay had a special where you could buy his consulting for $5,000 an hour, but instead of paying it up front, he would charge you over time, and you could buy either 2 hours for 10 grand or 4 hours for 20 grand, and you could pay $1,000 a month. So I took 4 hours. It was $20,000. I agreed to pay $1,000 a month. I put it on my American Express card and flew out to California, got those 2 basketballs for his sons, gave it to him at breakfast, then met him at the office later on that day with the CEO of another company that my company was going to merge with. And I learned a lot from that interaction. And unfortunately, a lot of it was dedicated to the other company I was planning on merging with. And then that kind of fell apart. Anyway, after about 3 months, Jay had been paid $3,000 or maybe 4 months. I don't remember. It's 3 or 4 months. So he'd been paid either $3,000 or $4,000. My American Express card was frozen, and that's because I had a $300 and some odd $1,000 balance on that American Express card. So my card was frozen, and so now my charges were getting declined for Jay, and obviously this was upsetting to Jay. I was kind of surprised that it got back to Jay so fast, and he called me, and he would call me daily, letting me know how disappointed he was because he thought I was an honest guy and he couldn't believe that I was beating him out of the $17,000. At that moment in time, I was in transition as I was figuring out what to do with the hypnosis business, etc. Also figuring out how I was going to pay American Express the $300,000 I owed them and my other creditors as well. So, and at that moment, Jay wasn't my highest priority. American Express, the banks, etc. They were. So I told Jay that I needed him to be patient, that I would certainly, most definitely pay him back, but that I just needed a little bit of time. Anyway, I then took care of what I needed to, moved money around, sold some things, made some money, etc. And I'd say about like 3 months later, I was back on my feet. And I was actually, David Garfinkel had invited me to a Mark Joyner seminar in California. So I decided to go out there. That was the very first internet marketing seminar I ever went to. And I brought with me a check for $17,000 or $16,000, whichever I owed him at that time. I didn't tell him I was coming, but I stopped at his office. He wasn't there. So I ended up leaving a check on his desk with a note saying, Jay, I'm sorry that I didn't pay you for 3 months. However, now you are 13 months ahead. You have been paid in full. I apologize for the delay. I hope you realize now that my intentions were always honest. I just had a lapse that I had to handle, something to that effect. And it was during that kind of disappointment, then living up to what I had originally agreed to, plus that after that, Jay came into the office, found $17,000 that he wasn't expecting to get from me. He called me up and said, I thought you were honest. That's why I was so surprised when your credit card didn't go through. And 90% of the time when credit cards don't go through, I know I don't get paid. So I just assumed that you would be like that. You weren't. I appreciate it. Let's stay in touch. If you ever have anything that you want to do together or discuss, by all means, reach out. And that was where my relationship with Jay kind of was put on pause for actually quite like maybe a year or 2 years, until I actually joined Stephen Pierce's coaching program, which I did pay for. Then met Stephen at the big seminar. We hit it off. I asked Stephen if he'd like to do something with Jay, and then reached out to Jay and told him about Stephen. And then that was the beginning of Stephen, Jay, and Rich doing Jay's teleseminars, and then also doing that internet apprenticeship program that who was it that someone just recently that Francis had just mentioned. So let's see here. Let's kind of continue down. Okay, let's see. So Carlos says, greetings from Venezuela. Greetings to you, Carlos. And Alan says, I learned a massively important lesson after a huge argument with my mentor, Dr. Eli Goldratt. I defined it as the rules for a mentor and student. Mentor rule: a mentor must believe more in the potential of their student than the student themselves. Okay. As soon as this is no longer true, the student will lose respect for the mentor and the relationship will end. Student rule: a student must trust the intuition of the mentor more than their own, so that in case of a conflicting view. Oh, does it continue? Now I'm on pins and needles, Alan. I don't know how you ended it, but I like those two rules. And certainly, I think it is important. I think it's important that every entrepreneur have some, unless they're a narcissist and God knows what, having someone believe in you more than you believe in yourself is extremely empowering. I know it is for me, for sure. And certainly for me, I have done my best when I've had, and this is just a fact, right? Like when I look at my entire life, the 2 times when I performed at my absolute best, both times I was being coached by an older female who believed in me more than I believed in myself. I have to think that has something to do with how I was raised and maybe missing that from my mother, who knows? But it hasn't been lost on me that I certainly have had mentors who believed in me more than I believed in myself. I know that both Jay and Mark think I am smarter than I think I am. Which is not that easy, I guess, but nonetheless, that is true. And I'm always kind of amazed at what my mentors say about me. It's very flattering. And so anyway, what I do think is interesting with Jay was that, like, my relationship with Jay, which has made me literally millions of dollars, has made Jay millions of dollars, certainly has vaulted my credibility early on when it mattered the most. All of that would not have happened had I not disappointed him first and then made right. It's not necessarily what I suggest anyone does intentionally, but it does go to show you that that when you go, even when you disappoint someone, if you go above and beyond to make things right, you might have the opportunity actually of having a better relationship than had nothing ever transpired. And that is certainly the case with Jay. With Mark, I guess with Mark, I had pulled a lot of strings after I had helped Early to Rise quite a bit. They wanted to know what they could do for me. And I said I wanted to have a meeting with Mark. And I did. And I told him about this was soon thereafter the Internet Business Manifesto had gone viral. And I wanted his advice. And so even the very first time I met Mark, it was in that capacity. I was someone who had helped one of his businesses quite a bit, and in return, just wanted a half an hour of his time. When I want to see if I can find this, but after I met him, he actually wrote an email about it. And it was called My Door is Always Open. I want to see if I can find it. How is everyone doing today, by the way? I hope no one's had a crappy day like I have. And I am looking for this as we speak. All right, let's see. Matt is messaging me. Let's see. No, okay. That's Matt. Okay. My door is always open, but they never come. Something like that. Early to Rise. Michael Masterson. Let's just see if I can find it. My door is, let's see, my door is always open. And then I'll do Rich Sheffrin. And let's see. Let's see. I can't find it. What a bummer. I know I have it, but not going to be able to find it right now, I guess. Oh, wait. No. Anyway, I wish I could find this for you because it was very flattering, and it's really cool to have this email from my mentor that he sent out to his list the first time we ever met. But that'll have to wait, I guess, until Thursday, right? Not that I'm expecting to find a coach or mentor for free, LOL. It's just when I hear people talk about having or had a mentor, I always wonder what type of relationship that is. Well, I try to, I'd like to think that, and I think it has been, so I'm not saying this, I hopefully out of school, but I'd like to think that my relationship with Jay, my relationship with Mark, my relationship with Clayton, John Colton, all these guys, has been a two-way street. That, yes, I certainly have gotten a lot of advice and wisdom from Mark and Jay, for example, but I'd like to think that I also have helped them, not necessarily as a mentor, because I'm not their mentor, they're mine, but in being more plugged into the things that I'm more plugged in with, and then sharing those things on a very consistent basis. So both Jay and Mark are in my head, and when I come across stuff that I think will be helpful to them or useful to them or beneficial to them, I often make a point of making sure it gets to them. Yeah, nothing like surprise and delight. Yeah, maybe that's what's required. Student rule. A student must trust the intuition of a mentor more than their own, so that in case of a conflicting view, they will respect the mentor enough to try what the mentor suggested. As soon as this is no longer true, the mentor will feel disrespected and the relationship will end. I believe that to be true, but I also think, and Alan, I wonder what you have to say about this, because so let me tell you something that I've shared with. So I came up with a theory about Jay Abraham and Mark. Let's call them just Mark and Jay for now. I came up with a theory about Mark and Jay based on my interactions with them and what I've witnessed, right? And I then asked them if they agreed with what my observation was. They did. And so let me explain what I'm talking about here. So one of the things I noticed is that anytime I brought a new idea to Mark, like a new way of doing something, he'd be like, why do you want to do that? You already know what works. Why wouldn't you just do that? Versus when I went to Jay with a brand new idea, a new way of doing something, he was always fascinated by it, and he would ask me lots of questions, and the idea would get better because he was curious about it and asking lots of questions. So that was something I noticed, right? That it was always better for me to go to Jay with brand new ideas, and it was better to go to Mark with ways of improving current ideas or like business growth advice. And as I kind of reflected on that and also just kind of noticed how they lived their lives and etc., what I also noticed is that Jay's primary focus in life is business, and that Mark's primary focus in life is life. And so for Jay, all variety in his life came through variety in business, which therefore made Jay interested in lots of different things as it related to business, because he was going to get all his variety through business. For Mark, business was just a vehicle to experience life. That business was really there to generate profit, challenges, growth, etc., but that really business was a vehicle to have a more fulfilling life outside of that business. Therefore, for Jay, Jay was always interested in new ways of doing things because that's where he got his variety from. Whereas for Mark, not so much. He wanted more certain ways because variety came outside of business. And so, part of me kind of navigating my own success was recognizing who to go to for what, right? If I wanted copywriting advice, I'd go to Clayton. If I wanted business growth advice, I'd go to Mark Ford. If I wanted marketing advice, I'd go to Jay. Or if I wanted to kind of I would go to each mentor as each situation kind of, I was clear about who would be best based on how they see the world. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me know if that does. Why did I have a crappy day? I had a crappy day because personal reasons, I guess, would be the best way to say that. But thanks for asking, Isabella. How did you learn what your mentors would consider useful? By being interested in their lives. Knowing, certainly, what I would say for sure, which is not coincidental, is that I knew a lot about my mentors before they became my mentors. So I had studied a lot of Jay Abraham's materials. I had studied a lot of Michael Masterson / Mark Ford's materials, lots of Clayton Makepeace's materials, lots of John Carlton's materials, etc. So I was in such awe of these people that I guess my respect for them was obvious, but not in a starstruck kind of way that's annoying, but in a way that that's endearing. And I know that's weird to say about oneself in that capacity, but what I can I've certainly met people who are fans of mine who make me uncomfortable. They're too much of a fan of mine, right? It's a little strange, right? But I've certainly met people who were excited to meet me, who in their excitement made me excited to meet them because they had read certain of my stuff and they could reflect back into some of the things that I had written that I had completely forgotten about, that they remembered, that made a difference for them. And that's exciting, right? Whenever someone uses some advice that you've given them and have crushed it and are thankful for that advice, it makes you want to help them more, for sure. Wow, I went through that pretty quick. All right, so I'm really curious, though, what's really interesting is that Vincenzo would tell me to create a video about how to find a mentor, because I'm kind of surprised that people do a search on how to find a mentor on YouTube. And so let's kind of bring it around that. Have you ever done a search for how to find a mentor? Up until this morning, I had never done that. It just kind of happened. And based on what I saw online written about it, I'd say that of all the advice out there, probably John Lee Dumas's is the best, but that's a different kind of mentorship. That's to pay someone to be your mentor, and that's about finding someone a year ahead where you want to be in a year from now. So it's very different, and I don't know that that could be kind of construed as a coach as well as a mentor or anything else like that. It's kind of weird, right, Dr. Vogelman? I mean, how to find a mentor? It seems it's valuable, and it's not a bad question. I could say a lot more about how to find a coach and what criteria you want to use for a coach. The two most obvious are that if you're going to be coached by someone as it relates to growing a specific business or a business, that coach should be successful themselves and should also have a track record of coaching many other people to success. You want them to have achieved success themselves, because if they haven't, then what the hell are they coaching you on? But even if they have achieved success on their own, if they don't have a track record of helping lots of other people succeed, they might have gotten lucky. And how would you know that unless you know what they have, unless you know their track record? Of course, that's somewhat self-serving, since I do have a track record. Make sure your mentor's name isn't Trump, Epstein, or Andrew. I will. But I don't know that, if I were to record a 10-minute video right now on how to find a mentor, I don't know what the hell I would say. In fact, I don't even know that I'm going to do this on Thursday. I might switch topics. And I am more than happy to talk about absolutely anything today. I'd love to talk more about mentors, but if you have a question or if you believe I can answer it, by all means ask it, because yeah, the mentor thing is just not something, even though I've been very fortunate with, I don't know that I necessarily have a lot of advice to give. Okay, Hugo hasn't either. Happy Tuesday, Rich. What is the difference between a mentor and a coach? I don't know if this is the accurate definition or distinction between the two. For what we're talking about right now, I would say, Christine, that a mentor is unpaid, a coach is paid, but that's not always the case. But in this conversation, what we're talking about right now, I would say that that is probably the best way to distinguish between the two. When I was in active duty military, I searched it because at the time, people higher ranking suggested it. Oh, that's interesting, Chris. And what were they suggesting? Why were they suggesting it? What were they hoping that you found? And, can you tell me anything more about that? Because I find that interesting. I literally see you as one of my mentors. I've had another mentor, Jacob. However, I see you on a more consistent basis, and I resonate a lot with how you explain things. So thank you very much for these live streams, sir. Well, you're very welcome, John, and I'm honored that you consider me one of your mentors. Yeah, I'm not sure if this would be a good video. Perhaps how to find a business coach would be a better video. Interesting. Vincenzo is busy having a conversation with Nat Lazis right now, or at least I think they are, because I put them in touch. But Vincenzo, I might ask that if that might be better. This may sound strange. On having a mentor when it comes to life and living, I found my first mentorship relationship in Poems of Rumi from 800 years ago. That's not strange at all. And, I have certainly gone to my mentors when I've experienced personal challenges and wanted to get their opinions on it, whether, from their, because they were older than me, they've lived life longer than me, and would certainly have advice for me. So that's not strange at all. How to find a strategic consultant. Yeah, exactly. Dr. Vogelman. Maybe instead of how to find a mentor, the topic of the video would be how to engage with a potential mentor. Yeah, I just don't know what the keyword gods declare, Barry. A mentor suggests a coach, and a mentor suggests and a coach tells you. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Business coach is a good term. Good to know. Last year during CSIB, you called that one of the big 4 tech companies would get the hack. So far, only congressional hearings. Would love to hear your further. Last year during CSIB, you called that one of the big 4 tech companies would get the hack. So far, only congressional hearings. Would love to hear your further vision in 2021. That's not true, Lars. There is antitrust. There's a U.S. federal government lawsuit against Google for monopolistic practices. There are 50 U.S. states, all 50 district attorneys of the 50 states going after Facebook. So I would say that those 2 out of the 4 have already gotten what I predicted. And I don't think Apple or Amazon will experience the same wrath, but time will tell. Rich, can you talk a little bit? The most dangerous number is 1, not to have 1 client, 1 product, 1 offer, and how that applies to vendors, offers, products, how to protect your information business against the 1. Redundancy, my friend, redundancy. So, there's lots of things that you can do to guard or protect your business against the 1. And for those who are not aware, while it's an old concept, I think Dan Kennedy described it best when he said the most dangerous number in business is 1. You don't want to have 1 employee who can do something, 1 vendor who can do something, 1 customer responsible for all your business, etc. Right? And so redundancy. Now, you can't have redundancy in everything, but you can have systems and processes for employees, right? So that if someone were to be struck by lightning or hit by a bus, business would still proceed, right? And that's a question of processes, systems, and redundancy. When it comes to vendors, that's a little bit more difficult, but possible, right? And what I would say is, while you might not have like to email providers, it's certainly a good idea to always be backing up your data file from your email provider. You should have 2 merchant accounts, even though that's a taboo because you're not supposed to, but you don't want to be put in a situation where you don't have a merchant account. Now you're applying and you have to tell the ones you're applying to that you just lost yours, because they will not give you a new one when you tell them you lost yours for the most part. I'd say that, in the beginning, Jason, many things will be one, right, as you're first starting up. And you're not really looking for redundancy in the beginning because you need momentum first. So momentum, I would say, is more important in the beginning than over-reliance. But once you've achieved a certain amount of momentum, then you want to start putting kind of safety mechanisms in place, whether those mechanisms are a secondary vendor, whether those mechanisms are standard operating procedures, whether those methods are constantly keeping your network growing so that you've at least have people in the different areas that you could reach out to and get advice from if something were to disappear for you. But maybe, Jason, if you ask me more specifically in a specific area, I'd love to help you. And I think I'm going to end this live stream a little early today. Certainly not going to leave anyone hanging. I want to answer your questions, but I think when the questions end, I'm going to call it a day, just because if this was not a public thing, and I part of me wanted to cancel today. And then my new assistant, Sandra, said, put on your man pants and do not cancel. All right, let's see here. Hold on. Oh, okay. To me, a mentor implies someone taking you under their wing. Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Daniel Kahneman's advice about a mentor advisor is to select someone that meets 3 criteria. I didn't know that Daniel Kahneman ever gave this advice, so thank you for this, Alan. 1, they have experience and intuition about the field you need advice on. That makes sense. 2, they like you. 3, they don't like you too much so that they are brutally honest with you. Yes, I would say, 3, some people are just blunt, right? And but I think that's really good advice. That is really good advice. Alan, man, I miss you. I got to reach out to you. They suggested it because talking to someone outside your chain of command and career in fields area of expertise could broaden your external awareness. It also builds your soft skills as a person. The best thing I heard about mentors, it's kind of like building your own board of directors. It's very much like building your own board of directors. And I guess it's kind of interesting because I have such different relationships. Like I have with Jay versus Mark. One is because Mark is in Delray Beach here, so I see him most Friday nights. Whereas with Jay, he lives all the way on the other coast. So most of the time we are talking by phone, and it's in the evenings, which are his early evenings, mine late evenings, because he's in California and I'm on the East Coast. You're welcome, Jason. Thank you for muscling through. No explanations needed when you're offering so much. Cheers. Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you for putting your man pants on, Rich. You have a great assistant. Thanks. She will appreciate that. I've never met any mentors in person, but instead model their published works and YouTube content in order to get into their minds. I feel like I would be weird if I saw them face to face. Really? Why is that? You'd be intimidated or what? And how do I pronounce your name? Is it Sydney? Is it signed? I don't know how to pronounce that. That's such a strange spelling to me. Cyndne. Sydney? Is it Sydney? That would be such a cool way to spell Sydney, but I'm sure that is not pronounced Sydney. Hi, Rich. Great to see you again on this webinar. I have a question. Do you think that a mentor, like a coach or expert, has been overused as a term rather like a cliche? I don't think so. I mean, it certainly is a word that's used a lot. And you can have a mentor who you've never met, like Sydney. I know that's not the right way to pronounce it, so I apologize. But like Sydney, and I've certainly had people who I have learned a lot from, who have guided my life, who I didn't have a personal relationship with. So I don't think it's been overused, and I think it's really it's a term of respect, right? It's a term that kind of establishes the relationship, right? Thanks to your assistant. Yes, I hope tomorrow you have a better day. Yeah, are we seeing each other tomorrow? Is that tomorrow, Hugo? I wish I could find, if we're going to talk about mentors tomorrow, I mean, not tomorrow. If we're going to talk about mentors on Thursday, I definitely have to find that email from Mark, because that really was great. So let's see. What other things can I tell you about? I think that's it, guys. I don't see the need to just eat up space to eat up space. We've been going an hour and 10 minutes. I'd love to answer any last bit questions, but if not, we will call it an early day today. No harm in that, of course. Oh, here's another question. Dave Newton. Cool. Hey, Rich. In your previous Facebook Live, you recommended that I turn my branding experience into a training. Thanks again for your advice. I've taken action and designed an in-progress website. Would it be okay to post a link to the website? I'd be grateful for your first impressions of it so far. Go ahead. Sure. It's because I feel I would be awkward after reading their stuff so many years with no face-to-face. Sydney. Oh, cool. Is the correct pronunciation. Well, awesome. That is such a cool way to spell Sydney. Is that very unique? I would assume it's very unique. I could see that, I guess especially when you've respected someone from afar for a really long period of time, meeting them in person can sometimes be a little strange. Rajesh, hey, Rich, I have another question. Do you think that you need just a mentor, but the right mentor that resonates with the mentee on both? Well, I don't think you just need a mentor, right? Like if it's not the right mentor, it's a waste of time. And you certainly can get anywhere on your own. The right mentor should be able to shortcut the process for you by, one, helping you meet the right people who can get you there faster, and two, to give you advice and confidence where you might be struggling, and from someone who's been there and done that. So I would say that while not necessary, it's useful. I don't know if I can go to this, so let's just take a look here. I guess we can all do this somewhat. I don't know if I can pull in let's see, what's share? Oh, share screen. I can do that. Okay, so let's see here. Well, I can't do this. I can't do this here. I can do this here. IconICU.com. IconICU.com. Wow. I dig it so far. So far, it looks good. So really nice design, Dave. Nowadays, I'm much more into. Hold on, I'm trying to go backwards here. These days, I'm much more into a upside down homepage where there are no links in the upper right-hand corner. Those are on the bottom, so that you kind of force people not to click on programs, resources in the book, and that it's really like the link that you most want them to click is what they see when they first get to the page. And yeah, look at inverted homepage or upside down homepage, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But overall, nice design, really nice design, and I assume that it's not fully built out yet. So let me know, but looks good so far. Certainly better than any site I would design. That's for damn sure. So anyway, so tonight we got a bunch of people coming over the house. Mike Zappi, he produced, directed one documentary called The Reality of Consciousness, or The Reality of Truth, where he takes the woman from the star from Fast and Furious down to Costa Rica to do ayahuasca. That was his first documentary. Before that, he was a domainer. That's how I knew him. He sold beer.com for $8 million. That's a long time ago. The most expensive domain ever sold. And he recently, well, not that recently, about 2 years ago, he shot this documentary. I think he just sold it. It's with Lamar Odom, where he helped Lamar after he got out of the hospital from a coma that was found in a brothel, was married to the Kardashians, all that kind of stuff, and brought him down to Mexico to do ibogaine. And I am so excited to watch this documentary because I saw the before and after pictures, and it was insane. Like, he looked like death, and then 24 hours later, he looked very healthy. So we're going to premiere that documentary tonight. It's not out yet. He's bringing a copy. And, which actually reminds me, I better figure out how he's bringing that copy, or I'm going to have a bunch of guests that are going to be very upset. But that's what I'm doing tonight. And I'm hoping that resets my attitude and makes me happy-go-lucky tomorrow. But certainly you guys helped, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I apologize if I was not at my best today. You know, I can't always be as good as I can be some days, I guess. And but the fact that you guys are still here, the fact that actually the viewers have grown over the last hour and a half or hour and 20 minutes just makes me that much more appreciative of each and every one of you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for commenting. If you shared, I want to thank you very much for sharing. And anyway, that is it. We've gotten a ridiculous number of sales of Steal Our Winners recently. So thank you to all of you who have recently joined. And I will see everyone Thursday. I'm not sure what we're going to do on Thursday, whether it will be on mentors, and I will have done some serious thinking, reading, and writing on it, and therefore have much more to present, or if I'm going to switch things up on you guys and talk about something totally different. But either way, I will be here on Thursday from 6 to 8. I look forward to talking to you then. Until then, to higher profits and beyond, this is Rich Sheffrin, over and out.